every year they call it free agency frenzy, and I think it's very appropriate this year, man. This has been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. A lot of moves going on. A lot of moves still going to happen. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss. So let's start off top with the number one. Tom Brady has announced that he will be leaving New England. And so we don't know where he'll be going, but it seems like he wants to give it a try elsewhere. That's crazy. I mean, the speculation was that Tom Brady was going to leave. In my mind, I thought he was going to retire or he was going to stay, but I knew it was open. I think there very much is a sense of let me get one more crack at it without Belichick to cement my legacy. I definitely believe there's differences between Belichick and Brady, but I don't think they hate each other or anything like that. Honestly, some people like Tom doesn't want to be unselfish or he doesn't want to be treated like everybody else. And Belichick likes to treat everybody and hold them accountable, and he kind of wants to be treated like a star. I don't think that's true. I don't think he would have stayed around for this long for that, and I don't think he would continue to play just to be treated like a star. I mean, he's treated like a star everywhere he goes. So I don't believe all that hype. I think it very much does come down to Tom wanting to prove to himself, probably more so than anybody, that he could do it without Belichick. And honestly, there's a lot more factors than just having Belichick. Obviously, Belichick has a lot more factors than just having Tom Brady. But people like to simplify it, especially in your legacy. So him looking at it and saying, I'm going to give this a try somewhere else and see where I can go. I don't have a problem with that, and I really do think that's what this is. So I respect it. I respect the move. I can speculate about where he's going, but I have no idea. I don't know. I see a lot of people putting teams out there, but in my mind, there's no way because he's still old. He's up there for a quarterback. So there's even if he believes he can play a couple more seasons, there's no way he goes to a non-contender. No way. And I believe he knows that as good as he still can be mentally, he's not what he used to be. And so that he can't just go to a bad team and make them good by his presence. So I believe he's definitely going to go to a team that's right on the edge. Where that is, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a couple candidates, but I don't know. I really don't. A lot of people are speculating that he's going to go to California. He's from the Bay Area, I believe so. They're talking about San Francisco. Possibly the Chargers. Those are on my list. I mean, you gave Jimmy that money, and it's hard to tell a quarterback that started in the Super Bowl, hey, just sit for a year. Because even if Tom did win with the 49ers, Jimmy G doesn't, benefit from that because he didn't play. So it'd be really hard to bring Tom Brady in without trading Jimmy G. And do you really want to trade away a young quarterback for a guy that's going to be there for probably a year? So I don't know. I don't know which teams out there that you could consider on the cusp, but I really think he's going to go to a team that's ready to compete. I don't think he's going to go to something less than that. The Colts might be an interesting place. I don't know. So it'll be interesting. So that's the number one thing. Okay, let's get to the bombshells. Outside of that, DeAndre Hopkins gets traded. DeAndre Hopkins, arguably a top 3 receiver in the league, gets traded from the Texans to Arizona to Arizona Cardinals. And so let's see. The Texans gave up Hopkins in a 4th round pick. They got David Johnson, a running back. They got a 2nd round pick and a 4th round pick next year. Now, it's still good premium to get for him, but it just kind of came out of nowhere. Look, now to me, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, I would say I'd probably be disgruntled. But everything that we know, it seems like he wasn't a disgruntled receiver in Houston. Now, me personally, I would have been. But it seemed like, because he's been here for a minute, through the court, through all the bad and the good. And Deshaun Watson, a lot of people on his job, cool. I think he's solid, but I don't think he's the quarterback everybody acts like he is. And so you got to get to a point where you're thinking like, man, I just really, I really haven't had somebody that can take us to the next level. So you look at Hopkins, 8 seasons in, and it reminds me kind of Andre Johnson, where Andre Johnson just stayed with the Texans, being a great receiver, even though the team wasn't winning. And so Hopkins did the same thing. He didn't pout and push his way out. He'd been a soldier. And so now this gives him a chance to get out there and compete with a different team. And so I don't know, maybe we'll hear a story. I haven't looked into it a lot, but I wonder like why they chose to do this. Because yeah, you get some premium with the 2nd round pick. The 4th round pick is whatever. Plus you gave up a 4th round pick. And you get David Johnson, who I do believe definitely could turn the corner back to what he was. But at the end of the day, he's still a running back. And actually, David Johnson was older when he came into the league, so he's already 28. But still, I still think he could turn it around and be what he was, but it's a running back. And so I just don't believe that it was a value thing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're rebuilding. Let's trade away a big piece and get a big haul in return. It wasn't that. You didn't get a haul per se. And so I can't believe they had a problem with Hopkins because he's never been a distraction and he's always produced. So maybe it was Hopkins just behind the closed doors saying, hey, I want out of here. I don't know, but I'll be interested to see. But it was crazy to see D Hop's one of the most respected receivers, and the boy can get it done. To see him trade it, it's just wow. But he's going to the Cardinals, and that's exciting. Similar to the Texans, they got a speedster, Christian Kirk, who can take the top off, but now they got a legit receiver to take away attention. Larry Fitzgerald, as solid as he's been, he's not that top receiver where they're going to double cover him. But now, you bring Larry Fitzgerald back. You got Christian Kirk with the blazing speed. And now you got DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to legit command double coverage. And so now you got a guy taking the top off. You got a Fitzgerald underneath. I forgot the rookie receiver. Is it Isabella? Who's a good slot as well. So you got, and then on top of that, you got Kyler Murray, who's a threat to run the ball. So I really think it's going to be some exciting fireworks to play with, to see Hopkins with a receiver or with a quarterback as dynamic as Kyler Murray. As much as people applaud Deshaun Watson, I just think Kyler is a better overall quarterback. So this would be exciting. Another blockbuster. You got DeForest Buckner got traded from the 49ers to the Colts. So the Colts have gave up their 1st round pick. Now they got a number 13, so it's a top 15 pick. So you're like, okay, well, that's pretty big premium, and it is. It's good premium, but DeForest Buckner is 26 years old. He's only had 4 seasons in the league. 6'7", huge dude. Now, he's really, really, really good. I don't think he's considered like an elite player, but he's young and he's heading towards that way. But the biggest thing to me is he was just on in the Super Bowl. And so he was just in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. So it's not like, yeah, we got a real good player, except we're not winning with this player. So let's just blow it up. No, they were winning, and he was definitely part of the reason. Now, Arik Armstead was coming up for free agency, and it's just one of those things where you can't afford to keep everybody. Like Nick Bosa is a rookie, or was a rookie, so it kind of works out in your favor where it won't be a while until you have to pay him. But, you got to pay Armstead, and then around the corner, you're going to have to pay Buckner, and then around that corner, you're going to have to pay Bosa. So I'm sure they looked at it, and they decided we can't keep everybody. But everybody thought it was going to be Arik Armstead, who is a year older than Buckner. But I guess you got to look at this year. The man put up 10 sacks. And he didn't get nowhere near close to that in the previous year. And so Armstead was one that was just like, he kind of didn't pan out as good as he could have been, his potential. And then this year it exploded. Now, I've watched the 49ers. They do a lot of movement. They do a lot of stunts, a lot of games. You got to realize that your D-line are not straight up pass rushers. They're not 4 dogs that just no one can block. Bosa has a lot of good tools, but he gets a lot of coverage sacks, a lot of cleanup sacks. Arik Armstead and Buckner, really good, big body guys. They get a lot of sacks, off twists and stunts. And so when I look at that and, him having 10 sacks out of this year, I got to think look, it was a collective effort. It wasn't just, he's a beast pass rusher. Now, he is a good pass rusher, but to me, I don't know if it warrants, because he got signed 5 years, up to $85 million, almost $50 million guaranteed. I just don't know that I'm signing Arik Armstead to that, because I'm not getting rid of DeForest Buckner, because you got to look at them as a complete pitcher, and I definitely think they'll still be good, but I don't know going forward that they're going to be as good without the group together. Now, you still got 3 of the 4, so we'll see. But anyway, the Colts get him, and they gave him a extension. I don't think they said how many years, but it's $21 million per season. So he got paid. So both of the players get paid in the end. I guess that's what most people care about. So that's cool. But wow, just wow. And so the Colts, who, they're kind of middle of the road, they get DeForest Buckner, and it'll be interesting to see how that changes the defense for them. But, yeah, just massive. And then the last one I'll point out off top, you got Stefon Diggs, receiver from the Vikings, traded to the Buffalo Bills, for a first-round pick, a fifth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a fourth-round pick next year. And then the Vikings also gave up 7th-round pick. Now, this is interesting because you definitely can make the case. Well, actually, I take it back. There really is no making the case. This trade was way more than D-Hop's. Now, D. Hopkins is a little older, but still top-notch receiver. Stefon Diggs, top-notch. And they got a haul. The Vikings got a first-round pick coming up in this year, and the Bills made the playoffs, so it won't be super high, but still a first-round pick. And they get a 4th-round pick next year. So pretty decent haul. Now, they didn't give up a David Johnson like the Cardinals did, but still. So anyway, Vikings lose one of their receivers. And this is, look, I get the frustration with Kirk Cousins and all that, but the problem is I would not want to leave Adam Thielen. Like, Diggs is really good. We know he was good before Thielen. But when Thielen comes in with that much attention, it just elevates your opportunities even more. And so, again, kind of like with Buckner and all that, like, people got to realize how much they're interdependent on other players. And so it's just like, nah, man, I'm going to go do it. And he's going to do his numbers, but it's just like, to me, it made much more sense for you to stay with Thielen, that if I'm him, because I know that that's going to open up opportunities for me. Whereas in Buffalo, all eyes are going to be on you. And not to mention, you got Josh Allen who can't throw. So it's not that he asked to go to Buffalo. It's more, in my mind, a FU to him, but I'm sure they didn't do that on purpose. But yeah, Stefon Diggs, man, he's out of there too. Actually, one I forgot, I gotta talk about him too. Calais Campbell got traded from the Jags to the Ravens. Now, I love the fit, but the money you put up for Calais Campbell, how much you talked about him being a leader, and he just got on the e-board for the NFL Players Association. Just weird to see him get traded. He was supposed to be kind of the face of the Jacksonville, but you can see they're definitely cleaning house because the man only got traded for a 5th-round pick. Now, I always, I'm not super into every player with my team, the Bears, and like, oh, we should have got him. But for a 5th-round pick for Calais Campbell, now I know he comes with a lot of money, but come on, bro. 5th-round pick, let's go. But anyway, Calais Campbell, man, he got traded too. Now, Calais is up there, still a dominant force, huge dude. Not a lot of people going to block him. Definitely could still get down, but he's definitely up there in age. So, definitely understand them getting ready to move on from him, but just didn't expect to see him get traded. So, those are the big moves up front. So, let's go through real quick each team and try to, look at some of these moves. So, the Cardinals, they put a tag on Keon Drake. I'm sure they liked what he did for them, being a much speedier back than David Johnson. Larry Fitzgerald coming back. And they brought in Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle. The Falcons traded for Hayden Hurst with the Ravens, kind of one of the odd man out tight ends. They drafted a lot of tight ends in Baltimore over the last few years. And obviously Mark Andrews is the one that caught on with Lamar Jackson. So they traded him for, wow, I didn't realize they traded a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for Hayden Hurst in a 4th-round pick. So the 5th and the 4th kind of cancel each other out almost. But a 2nd-round pick for Hayden Hurst, that's too much, in my opinion. So Michael Brockers is leaving the Rams and going to the Ravens, along with Calais Campbell. Matt Judon got franchise tagged, and they tagged another center. They got some big bodies in Baltimore. They tend to. So the Bills traded for Diggs. Josh Norman also signed a 1-year deal. And they're bringing in Mario Addison. So if you remember, Sean McDermott was the D coordinator in Carolina. So you're seeing Josh Norman, Mario Addison, these former Panthers signing with the team. Speaking of the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, that's the big one. Bridgewater has signed with the Panthers to be their starting quarterback. So Cam Newton's going to be, I believe they said he got the green light to look for a trade. So he's going to be out of here. Russell Okung is now on the Panthers. They traded Turner, their guard, for him, which is interesting. You don't normally see that. And Turner, why I keep saying it? Trey Turner, whatever that boy name is. Turner was a really highly regarded player a few years ago. So not sure if his play fell off or if his relationships fell out. But they traded him. Russell Okung is okay. I mean, he's decent. He never became the 1st-round pick he should have been. But they've always needed a tackle in Carolina. But I don't know that that's who I would have got. But whatever. Weatherly, I forgot what team he was with, but he's with the Panthers now. The Bears, we signed Jimmy Graham. We signed Robert Quinn. We released Leonard Floyd, and Danny Trevathan is coming back. And we lost Nick Kwiatkowski, but you can check out the Bears episode for that. The Bengals franchise tag AJ Green, which is weird to me. He's really up there, and he's always hurt. But I guess they didn't have many moves to do. The Browns end up getting Jack Conklin, who I still think is a really good player. That's going to help them out. They still don't know their left tackle. And, I mean, they might put Conklin at left tackle. We'll see, but, yeah. They get Austin Hooper from the Falcons, who's been very middle-of-the-road type player. So, Oh, whoa. Highest paid tight end in the league. I honestly think he's been like just a solid player. So whatever, they pay him that much money. Kareem Hunt got a tender on him. And then they brought in Casey Keenum as a backup. Dallas Cowboys signed. I was trying to see. So they signed Amari Cooper. I was trying to see if he's the highest paid. Guess it doesn't really matter. But they signed Cooper, so he's back. They put a tag on Prescott, and they re-signed their tight end. Broncos traded for Bouye earlier. Again, Jacksonville kind of blowing it up. They also got Graham Glasgow, who I think would be nice because Dalton Reisner was a rookie for them who did well. And so this is another proven interior O-lineman. I think Garrett Bowles is still the jury's out. So maybe they don't have the tackles, but they're definitely building that interior. And then they placed the franchise tag on their big-time safety, Justin Simmons. The Detroit Lions brought in Jamie Collins. Again, their head coach, a former New England defensive coordinator, so he's familiar. They bring in Vitae, I believe, from the Eagles, who I don't think is that good. He was a career swing backup, and so he's parlaying that into a starter type contract that I would not pay him because I've watched film on him. I didn't think he was that great. Green Bay Packers bring in Christian Kirksey. They lost Blake Martinez, so replacing him. And then they bring in Rick Wagner, who started with the Ravens and I believe was with the Lions because they're losing Brian Bulaga. So he'd probably come in for the right tackle spot. Houston Texans bring in Randall Cobb. That's okay. Got their kicker back, tight end back. Of course, they traded Hopkins and got David Johnson. And yeah, they brought back McCarron and Bradley Roby. So nothing too big besides that blockbuster trade. The Colts traded for DeForest Buckner. And they brought back Anthony Costanzo, who I think wanted to stay with the team or he was going to retire. Jags franchise tag Ngakoue, which I understand because I think they're blowing it up. But you don't want him to walk for anything. So you want to franchise tag him and then trade him and get some value for him. The Chiefs franchise tag Chris Jones. Also got the option on Damian Williams. The Raiders signed Kwiatkowski from the Bears. They also signed Corey Littleton from the Rams, which I think is a big deal because he is a very versatile and well-respected linebacker. And for some reason, the Raiders always assigning and getting linebackers. I guess Gruden just didn't find the ones he liked. So they got two big-time linebackers now. And then they brought in Marcus Mariota. And so that'll be interesting. I like David Carr. Derek Carr. I was like, is that right? I like Derek Carr. And I think he should stay. But this might be a competition or they might just be trading him straight up. So that becomes interesting. Chargers, franchise tag Hunter Henry. Not a huge fan of him. I lost my place. Austin Eckler got his extension earlier. And then they traded Okung for Turner. The Dolphins, they brought in some power. So Eric Flowers, they list him as a tackle. Hopefully they don't do that again. Let that boy play guard. They bring him in on a 3-year deal. And it's funny, everybody's like, he's a bust. He sucks. The man moves to guard for a season and gets fat contracts. See, I be trying to tell people, man, it's all about context. They signed Byron Jones, highest paid cornerback now, and bring him in. They bring in Emmanuel Ogbah, who's a middle-of-the-road type pass rusher. But then they bring in Shaq Lawson from the Bills, who also is a middle-of-the-road pass rusher. But still has some potential, but they gave him some money. And then they bring in Kyle Van Noy, who's a very good Swiss Army knife at linebacker. So they're putting some money into that defense, so it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. The Vikings bring back their fullback, franchise tag Anthony Harris, their safety, who some people are thinking they're going to trade. And they put a tender on one of their linebackers. Patriots bring back McCourty. One of the McCourtys. They signed an extension with their special teamer Matt Slater. and franchise tag Thuney. Breeze signs a 2-year contract, goes back to the Saints. They also re-signed one of their defensive tackles. Blake Martinez goes to the Giants, of all places. They might be up and coming, and I think Blake's a hell of a linebacker, so that's good. They also signed James Bradbury. I don't even really know what he's been doing since the Panthers. And then they franchise tagged Leonard Williams, which is interesting because they traded for Leonard Williams. And I feel like you shouldn't be able to franchise tag a guy you traded for last season. But they franchise tag him. And a lot of people think that he's just not working out as a player. But obviously he's valued somewhere. Let's see. Jets bring in George Fant. Don't really know him. Eagles bring in Javon Hargrave, who I believe was with the Steelers and a pretty good player. But they always adding people on that D-line. Steelers franchise tag Bud Dupree. 49ers re-sign Armstead and Jimmy Ward. The Seahawks re-sign Jan Reed. They put a tender on the tight end, and they brought in Greg Olsen. The Bucks franchise tag Jason Barrett, and they re-signed Shaquille Barrett, and they re-signed Pierre-Paul. Titans franchise tag Derrick Henry. They also signed Ryan Tannehill back. They also signed Dennis Kelly, who will take over Conklin's spot. And the Redskins tagged Brandon Sheriff. They signed another guard to replace Flowers. And then Kendall Fuller goes back to the Redskins. It was weird because I saw his name and I'm like, why does that sound familiar? And I remember Kendall Fuller was drafted by the Redskins, then traded to Kansas City. Now he's coming back. It's interesting. You don't usually see that, where it's like when I hit free agency, I'm gonna sign back with my original team that traded me. So, but that's what you got. Kendall Fuller is going back to the Redskins. So that's what we got so far right now. Obviously, there's going to be more throughout the day in the coming week. Some just like, look, I won't even say that. There isn't always trades. There's like picks. There's little things sometimes, like if somebody's like a Brandon Marshall or T.O., someone's like a big distraction, they might get traded. There's little things like that. There's rarely bombshell trades at this time. You got a top 5 receiver, two arguably top 5 receivers got traded. You definitely got a top 10 interior D lineman in his prime got traded. And Calais Campbell's old, so I can understand that. But it's just, and not even just, some of it was like, oh, a 4th round pick here, 5th round pick for Calais Campbell. But for Diggs, a 1st round pick was traded. For Buckner, a 1st round pick was traded. For what's his name? Hopkins, 2nd round pick and a former all-pro running back was traded. Like, these are big moves. So I don't know if they think the cap's going up. The rookie scale, that doesn't really have much to do with these trades. I don't know. I don't know what prompted people to do big trades this year, but usually you don't see it. So interesting. And then we'll all wait and see what Tom Brady does. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about all the free agency news, what you think about what your team did, what moves do you expect coming, where do you think Tom Brady's going. Go to the comment section. Let me know. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.